people. Today I'm going to be talking about Full Metal Jacket in 4K Ultra HD. So without any other further ado, I'm going to go straight full steam ahead into the movie itself. And I will just say that this movie has always been a movie that is... I liked, but not as much as other people have liked it. You know, I would say that Stanley Kubrick has a handful of movies that I really consider classics in my mind. If I was to talk about them, and I have talked about some of them, I would give them 10 out of 10. This particular movie isn't going to get that from me. And that doesn't mean that I don't like it. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I think it's a very good film. It's just kind of schismed, to be honest with you. The first half of this movie in the training camp is awesome. It is excellent. It is what I would want this movie to be. It has a tension to it that I feel like is great. And Arlie Ermey in this movie is iconic, and, you know, his portion of this film is absolutely 10 out of 10 great. Now, I won't say exactly why, but what I will say is that in the middle of this movie, there is a shift and a time jump. And what I will say is... when I was younger, this bothered me even more. And now I have come to understand it while still not liking it as much as the first half. There is still great scenes there, and there is a degree of tension once things get rolling in that narrative that is really excellent. But what I will say about that particular part of the movie where it does shift is that it just feels like a different movie. It's very schismed in that way, and I respect the daringness to actually do that. That is a ballsy move, but it is one that I don't feel like paid off as much as other people think so. But I still enjoy the second half of this movie, just not as much as the first, and that is why I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. And getting into the video quality here, this is interesting. So this was actually given a 4K scan of the original 35mm negative. Right off the top, that original Blu-ray that came out way towards the beginning half of when Blu-rays were first around, this was released. And, you know, it was just... I liked it. It was kind of soft, and it just wasn't one that I ever kind of went back to. I think I watched it once, didn't come back to it, and just for reference, I watched it again for this video to compare it to this new transfer. And this new transfer clearly has just finer edges and clarity to spare over that older transfer, and that is where you will see the biggest upgrade here. Clarity is excellent. There is still grain here. This is not meant to be the cleanest of films. This movie is dirty, and it's supposed to be, and you know, it still retains that grit. And I wouldn't want it to be taken away. So it definitely is preserved here. It's just a lot more stable here. And that is always, always very welcome. As far as detail goes, with the upgrade of sharpness in the picture quality, you will notice a lot more detail that just wasn't there in the Blu-ray, such as a lot of stitching on clothing and grains in grass. And specifically in the later half of the film, you get a lot of dust and debris and a lot of separation from the foreground to the background that just wasn't in that older Blu-ray. Now, as far as HDR goes here, you know what? I wasn't expecting that much. I didn't remember this movie for having a very particular sense of style as far as its photography goes. And I don't think I was wrong. I don't think that this movie has such a visual sense of style like other Stanley Kubrick films do, but that doesn't mean that this isn't pretty. And the HDR definitely amplifies that. Now, you know, when you're talking about the blue hues of the moonlight coming into the recruits' beds at night, that is something that was glaringly apparent to me here. And it just, I went back and I compared it to that old Blu-ray, and this scene and the way that the blues stick out just mops the floor with that. And then when you're getting into blades of green grass, blue skylines, and just overall just the color palette here has been really amplified to the point where it gives this film a very rich sense of style that wasn't there before. And that is why I am going to give this a 9 out of 10. I did not expect to, but this is actually a very good transfer. Now, unfortunately, with the audio here, like all of the other Stanley Kubrick films that Warner Brothers has been putting out to 4K, they have not been upgrading the audio. So, you know, you didn't get that with 2001. You didn't get that with The Shining, and you're not going to get that here. What you do get is a DTS-HD 5.1 mix that is fine, serviceable, and it does what it's supposed to do. And that's what I could say about it. You know, it's kind of front heavy at times, but speaker separation is pretty good in the fronts. Surrounds are light. But, you know, I would have said that for all of those early Stanley Kubrick films that came out on Blu-ray towards the beginning half, because a bunch of them did. On top of that, bass response is pretty good during action moments, specifically later towards the back half of the film. The bass really kicks up, and you will definitely notice that. Dialogue is perfectly fine here. It is clear and it is audible, and it is exactly what you would want it to be. And you know what? I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I would give it an 8 out of 10, but you know what? They didn't upgrade the Atmos, so I got to take away a point for that. But on the flip side here, you do get a Movies Anywhere digital copy that you can redeem for the 4K version on iTunes and on Vudu. Now, this movie has always been light on special features when it comes to home releases. This is no different. So I will go through the special features here kind of quick. What you have is all of them being ported to the 4K disc. And as good as you would expect that to be, there are actually only 3. And one of them is the theatrical trailer. So the other 2 is a pretty damn good audio commentary with the cast of the film talking about it. Vincent D'Onofrio's on there. It's great. I do like that. And there is a 30-minute behind the scenes of the film, of the making of it. And that is it. I am glad that all of the special features are on this 4K disc, but I was hoping for something new here, and there is not. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. And as for my last looks at Full Metal Jacket, when I set aside the fact that this movie feels like 2 films kind of smushed into one, I actually think that I like these 2 films quite a bit. And I like the stories that they tell. This movie is not one of my favorite Stanley Kubrick movies, but it is a very, very good one. And I definitely did enjoy coming back to it now with a fresher perspective, a more mature perspective, rather than just saying, I didn't like the fact that it changed halfway through. And when you add up all my scores for Full Metal Jacket in 4K Ultra HD, you come out to a 28 out of 40. That, to me, seems low, but hey, I just add up all my scores and tell you guys, look, if you like this movie, and so many people do, this is the best way to view it. They don't give you an upgraded audio, and they don't give you any more special features, but they give you one hell of a video transfer, and it is my preferred viewing method for this film. So, coming up next on the channel, I do have to get into 300! And I will be actually filming that right after this. So look forward to that, people. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome. I'm not even to say it because you all know it. And I will see all of you next time.